Hi everyone, in this video we are going to look at quartiles. Okay, so when data is arranged from least to greatest, the median divides the data into two equal halves. The first quartile is the median of the data values that are less than the median. The symbol for the first quartile would be a Q with a subscript of 1. So Q1 means the first quartile. The third quartile is the median of the data values that are greater than the median. So it's the median of the upper half of the data. And the notation for third quartile is Q with a little subscript of 3. The quartiles and the median divide the data into 4 quarters. So quartile, think of the word quarters. It's dividing your data into fourths. The interquartile range is the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. So I've seen interquartile range written a couple ways. I've seen it written as IQR, and I've also seen it written as IR. So while we're talking about that, the median is the same as the second quartile, which would be Q2. The first quartile is also called the lower quartile. The third quartile is also called the upper quartile. If the interquartile range is low, then the middle part of the data is grouped closely together, so we could say that it's clustered. So here's an example. Given the data set 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18, find the median first. So the data set is already in order for us, so we have to find the middle value. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data values. So half of 8 is 4. So there's 4 below the median, 4 data values above the median. So the median is between 15 and 16. So remember, when that's the case, I have to add them together and divide by 2. So I'm adding together 15 plus 16 and dividing by 2. So I get 31 divided by 2, which is 15 and a half. That's our median. Find the first quartile. So for the first quartile, I look at the lower half of the data. So I'm just going to rewrite it. I have 11, 12, 13, and 15. And now I look for the median of that lower half of the data, and that would be my first quartile. So in this case, it's between 12 and 13. So just like I did before, I add together 12 and 13 and divide by 2. So I'm getting 25 divided by 2, which is 12 and a half. And that is my first quartile. For the third quartile, I look at the upper half of the data and find its median. So I'm going to rewrite the upper half of my data. So I have 16, 17, 17, and 18. The median is going to be between the two 17s, which means it's still actually 17. So my third quartile, Q3, is 17. I'm just going to label my second quartile over here my first quartile Q1. Find the interquartile range. So I take my third quartile, 17, and subtract my first quartile from it, 12 and a half. That gives me 4 and a half. That's my interquartile range. The overall range for the entire data set, I would do the maximum, 18, minus the minimum, which is 11, and 18 minus 11 gives me the overall range is 7. Looking at our second example, 22, 18, 16, 13, 12, 19, and 25. Find the median. Well, we first have to put our data in order. This data set is not in order yet. So I would start by ordering it. I would have 12, 13, then we'll have 16, 18, 19, 22, and 25. Okay, so now I have my data in order. I'm going to find the middle value. This time there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values. Half of 7 would be 3.5, so I bump it up. The fourth data value in my set will be the median, so I count into the fourth data value. My fourth data value is 18, so my median, which is the same as the second quartile, is 18. Find the lower quartile. Okay, for the lower quartile, I look at the lower half of the data, so I'm going to rewrite it. I have 12, 13, and 16. And I find the median of that lower half of the data, which ends up being 13. So my first quartile, or my lower quartile, is 13. For the upper quartile, I do that same process, but for the upper half of the data. So I look at 19, 22, and 25, find its median, which is 22. So my upper quartile, which is the same as the third quartile, would be 22. Inner quartile range, subtract my upper quartile and my lower quartile. So I would do 22 minus 13, which is 9. Overall range, I take my maximum, 25, and subtract my minimum, 12, from it. So my overall range is 13. I hope this video is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.